Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Socorro, Texas. It is January 21st, 2025. It is 5:30 PM. We call this meeting to order.
Good afternoon, all. Starting with item number 2, establishment of quorum. Andrew Arroyos,
Here.
Enrique Cisneros,
Here.
David Estrada,
Here.
Julie Dominguez, Julie Dominguez. Thank you. Yolanda Rodriguez. Here. Osvaldo Reza, absent. We have quorum with 4 commissioners present, 1 commissioner via Zoom. Moving on to item number 3, open forum. Alfredo, do we have anyone that would like to speak?
Not at the moment.
Thank you, Alfredo. Moving on to item number 4, consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Is that Thank you. I have a motion made by Andrew Arroyo, second by Yolanda Rodriguez to approve. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 5, consider and take action on the approval of a preliminary and final plat of IZI number 1 subdivision being track 4D4F, block 3, Socorro Grant, located at 761 Spark Circle, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Jose Botello, planner with the City of Socorro. Item number 5 on the agenda is the IZI number 1 subdivision preliminary and final plat. I'll let the presentation load. There we go. So the property owner is Mr. Marco Herrera. The representative is Mr. Manuel Urquieta. The lot size is 1.52 acres. The current zoning for the property is C2, which is general commercial. Current land use is commercial. And so the request is for approval of a preliminary and final plat for IZI number 1 subdivision. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary and final plat for IZI number 1 subdivision with the condition that the engineering review comments are met. On the next slide, you'll see the location map. The property is situated along Spark Circle within close vicinity to Horizon Boulevard and abutting the Mesa Drain. And then you'll see the property outlined in a thick blue line, the red signifying the C2 general commercial zoning for the property. These are a couple of pictures that were taken from Spark Circle, showing the property currently. There's a self-storage business currently in place at this property. Followed by the aerial image showing the structures for the self-storage on the property. And on the next slide, you'll see the preliminary plat showing some information on the topography, the right-of-way for Spark Circle. And on the final plat, you'll see the area for IZI number 1 subdivision. And once again, the summary is for approval of a preliminary and final plat for IZI number 1 subdivision. And at this time, staff can answer any questions. We also have Mr. Manuel Urquieta available via Zoom to answer any questions as well.
Mr. Botello, they're just adding more units towards the back, or?
Yes, the request was initially brought to our attention for, in addition to the existing business, but due to the fact that this property is currently under tract form, any new, when you're increasing square footage to a property, we do require a recorded plat, which is, this would be fulfilling that ordinance.
So they're adding square footage in structures or in land? Are they,
They're proposing new, to extend the self-storage, proposing
the unit,
new structures.
They want to add more units.
Yes, sir, correct.
They're not subdividing lots, they're not, it's the same parcel.
Correct.
And those two lots that are off to one side, that's part of the plat? Part of, or what?
No, they're just showing the
It's just the existing plat, just, or the existing tract?
yes, sir.
basically.
Yeah,
They're
correct.
just
The
replatting
surrounding,
this portion,
correct.
or platting this portion.
Hmm?
Oh,
I have one more question. Any notes, positive or negative, from the neighbors?
This wouldn't be, this,
Didn't go to the
this
neighbors?
process doesn't require notification to residents.
I'm ready to make a motion. No questions? Make a motion to approve as per staff recommendations and with the condition that the engineering review comments are met.
I second.
I have a motion made by Enrique Cisneros, second by Andrew Arroyos, to approve with staff recommendation, with the condition that engineering review comments are met. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 6. Consider and take action on the approval of a preliminary and final plat for Hermanos Industrial Subdivision, being all of Track 6 and Track 6A, Block 2, Socorro Grant, located at 11051 North Loop Drive, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
Good evening once again, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Item number 6 on the agenda is the Hermanos Industrial Subdivision preliminary and final plat. So the property owner for this development is Hermanos Farms LTD. The representative is Green Law Partners. Lot size for this property is 99.23 acres. The property is currently zoned ICMUD, and the current land use for this property is agricultural. And the request is for approval of a preliminary and final plat for the Hermanos Industrial Subdivision. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary and final plat for Hermanos Industrial Subdivision. And on the next slide, you'll see the property is situated along North Loop Drive, also within close vicinity to Horizon Boulevard. And then on the zoning map, you'll see the property outlined in a thick red line. Purple is denoting the ICMUD zoning designation for this property, followed by pictures taken from North Loop, the picture above, and from Clems Road, the picture below. This is the aerial footage or photo showing the entirety of the 99.23 acres. And this is page 1 of 3 of the traffic impact analysis that was submitted to planning and zoning. This is looking at the sites, the study site area for this development, followed by page 2 of 3, which is looking at the AM peak hour traffic counts, and the PM peak hour traffic counts as well. And followed by the development schedule. The Hermanos Industrial Subdivision development is anticipating completion on August of 2027, according to this schedule. And then followed by the preliminary plat. And the final plat showing the property would be divided to 3 lots for this development. And once again, the summary of the request is for approval of a preliminary and final plat for Hermanos Industrial Subdivision. And at this time, staff can answer any questions. We also have Mr. Jorge Azcárate from CEA present as well to answer any questions.
Can you put the final plat back up? Okay, so it's currently one large parcel of 99 acres, right? And you're requesting a replat into 3 different parcels, right? I see lot 1, lot 2, and lot 3. Is that, okay. And then on another sheet that I'm seeing here, guess there's an outline of structures, but I'm looking at this one, guys, right here. But I'm seeing structures that are overlapping the property lines that you're proposing. The structures on here are just, is this what's being proposed, being built? These right here? Yeah. So like those structures right there are overlaying the lot lines that are being requested or proposed. So
Correct. Oh, I'm sorry,
Mr.
go ahead.
Escarate?
Yeah, so I want clarification on if this is what's gonna be built or.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jorge Azcárate with CA Group for the record. That TIA was done probably about 18 months ago, which doesn't reflect the final build out of the way the proposed buildings are going to be configured into each individual lot.
Okay. Do you have that? Is that already ready?
We did submit that as part of the master plan that was approved 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Correct.
And then the other question, looking at, can you go back to the plat? So you can see it? Okay, so the owner, why not do or propose parcels along North Loop that could be used or sold separately for commercial use? For shopping centers, for anything other than, like what's there right now, but it's large lots that are gonna be used for warehousing, is what's being proposed. But why not separate the frontage against North Loop so that can be used for other uses?
Right. Actually, this project's already moving forward with already end users for each of those individual for the warehousing. And they need the entire space. In addition, if you recall, as part of the rezoning that was approved by City Council, there was a requirement to preserve landscape buffer along the frontage of North Loop. So developing any commercial will actually contradict to what the intent of City Council wanted, which was preserving a landscape buffer. As you know, commercial wants visibility. And if you have no visibility, then obviously it lacks, the ability to have something on the ground. But this was actually rezoned, and the original intent was always for ICMUD, which is for the industrial warehouse component, that's what we're here before you, is to subdivide the plat, to understand that the rezoning's already moved forward. The master plan is going forward to City Council. We're just here before you just for subdivision plating.
Do you recall if anybody ever brought that up, like using the frontage for commercial? Or does
No.
anybody else?
No.
No? Okay.
Any comments from the neighbors? Positive or negative?
No, this is also the plating process, which does not involve any public input or notification. So in this case, it was not a requirement.
Okay, so I understand your position and I understand, I guess, where everybody's coming from in the process where we're at. right? And like you're saying, it's, everything's already moving forward. Everything's been rezoned. This was rezoned a year ago, right? I believe. But I don't completely understand why the zoning board or city council can't push back on something like this. I mean, I know my personal feelings on this, right? But in the end, a warehouse at this location is completely out of sync. I don't see anybody that would agree with having this built there, right? I'm making a motion, I'm going to make a motion to deny and force the issue and see what happens. And my question would be, do we have to give reasons for denial of what's being asked right now? And then I would go back personally to city council and do what we talked about last meeting and say, what the heck are you doing, right? There's different city council members, it's a different mayor, there's different reasons as to why we're here, but the end result is that the city of Socorro is gonna end up with a warehouse that's out of place. Now, I'll add to that a lot of people that I talk to, they say, well, there's a lot of jobs coming in and tax increase and tax base and the whole thing. Okay. The other side of that is that this is warehousing. The reality is the size of the warehouse and the number of people working there, it's way different than if it would be manufacturing, for example. Manufacturing, you have hundreds, if not thousands of people working in that much square footage, but this is warehousing. You have trucks coming in and out. It's a lot less people and job creation than what the majority of people think about, right? They're thinking, oh, we're getting all these warehouses, we're gonna create all these jobs, and that's not necessarily accurate, right? So I'm completely against this. We voted no a year ago. I abstained last week. I'm gonna make a motion to deny, but I wanna make sure as to, do we have to give precise reasons as to why, or are we okay to deny it? But the plat itself, I understand what you're saying, I do understand. But at the very least, I think we need to force the issue, because nobody here that I'm thinking on this side agrees with something like this being built. And I think we need to push back. If the zoning board doesn't push back, then who is?
If I may,
Who will? Yes.
I think we're talking two different things. You're talking land use and plating, two totally different. And one thing that I would like to ask city staff is the plat as submitted, as presented, does it meet the state of Texas statutory requirements and the city of Socorro subdivision regulations for compliance? You know, I would like that to be read in the record. If you're gonna deny, then there's statutory requirements, just letting you know, then your attorney can inform you. But I just want on the record from city staff to indicate, does it meet Texas state statutory requirements and the city of Socorro requirements for plating?
Yeah, I think the question from the commissioner and then also the applicant's representative is, yes, so the Texas Local Government Code and also the city ordinances have various criteria for preliminary and final plats. And as long as they meet those plats and the list, and I don't have the ability to put it up on the projector, but I can give you the citations if you need it, is you do have to cite, if you deny specifically what they're missing from the requirements, then it has to be put in writing as well. And that's the planning and zoning. Also, the city council has the same standards. And then I'll let.
And note that the plat does satisfy the requirements of the ordinance. So we wouldn't have any basis to deny it.
Okay. I
So
understand
again,
what you're saying.
and just to clarify, again, zoning and a person's right to use their property as they desire is separate, and on their accord, the zoning's already been decided by the city council. So I'm not sure, what, that would be your motion, but we wouldn't have any, staff wouldn't have any reason to deny it.
I do understand. I understand where you're coming from as well. This plays out over and over again, right? And there's been reference, it comes from state level, these are state law and so on, that comes down and trickles down to where we're at right now. Developers, right, within their right, like you're saying, they can proceed and request whatever, it's their land, right? They can move forward, but a lot more money, smarter, they do this all the time. They can continue this, sue, whatever it is that they're gonna do. But the people over here on this end are the ones that are getting the short end of the stick, right? And so just because it's law, state law, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it moral or ethical in some instances, right? So highest and best use of the land, I know what you're saying. I remember they were saying, we were talking about having a buffer and so on and so forth up along North Loop to hide the view so that you couldn't see the warehousing. I'm looking at this plat that's being proposed, and I'm thinking, okay, what's the frontage along North Loop, right? Why not add commercial parcels like they did on Nuevo Hueco Tanks? You know, that's what's going on. You know, everybody's familiar with Nuevo Hueco Tanks. Why not do that here? But I'll go back to, just because it's law, it doesn't make it right. I make a motion to deny. I don't have the reasons why, because I don't have the knowledge base that you guys have. But I do have the common sense to say we're gonna end up with a splatter of warehouses throughout Socorro, all over the place. And I want that on the record, like on my end, where I'm the one standing up and saying, we're opening up a can of worms. We have warehouses all over the damn place. And I'm good with warehouses as long as they're built along the perimeter, along I-10, closer to Loop 375, easier access. But what are we gonna do with these splattered all over Socorro? The next one that's coming up is over there. It's gonna, where Rancho Mirabal is at, that huge pecan orchard right there, that, I'm hearing rumors, is up for sale. People looking at it, that's gonna be in the ETJ. It's gonna come up and they're gonna wanna do warehousing right down North Loop, the same thing. That's over 100 acres over there from what I understand, I may be wrong. I don't know, I understand that Socorro is growing, it's great, awesome, but do we really need warehouses throughout the interior of Socorro? So I make a motion to deny.
I think if you guys don't mind me interjecting here too and adding, because I think you guys are asking some of the standards here, and I looking it up here as you guys are discussing here. But on your question on the approving or denying, this is the language, and I'll read it to you guys, kind of paraphrase it, but it's section 212.0091 Texas Local Government Code. It says approval procedure, conditional approval or disapproval requirements. Municipal authority, a governing body that conditionally approves or disapproves shall provide the applicant a written statement of the conditions for the conditional approval or reasons for disapproval that clearly articulates each specific condition for the conditional approval or reason disapproval. Each condition specified in the written statement must, and it says number 1, be directly related to requirements under this chapter. 2, include a citation to the law, the statute, or municipal ordinance that they're violating. 3, it may not be arbitrary. So that's really the kind of the condition. And then it has a further list of all the standards for approval under section .010, and it's actually a list of, I think, at least 10 different factors on there. But and I think Ms. Lorraine too is that usually if the preliminary and final plats come here, they have to check through, or you're checking through to see if they meant everything to even bring it here. In most cases, I don't think you would hear it if it's, let's say it's missing some kind of plan that needs to be attached, or it doesn't have the drawing, something to that effect. So that's all I can add really on the legal side.
I think there's a motion on,
Do
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I think there was a motion on the table
Yeah,
to
I mean,
deny.
I'm just waiting for a second.
And I say, I'm gonna ask the fellow commissioners to deny it and put it on city council, right? We don't have the list of what you're requesting. It's impossible to come up with that stuff right now if there even is anything that we can add, which I don't think there is. But the bottom line is we're gonna end up with warehouses, this one and a whole bunch of them. And I don't wanna be on the record saying that I voted in favor of it, because I'm not. I wasn't in favor of it a year ago. I'm not in favor today. I abstained last week, and we got past that part last week. But today, my motion is to deny, and if I would, it's on you guys.
I was gonna say, sorry to interrupt. If you guys, also, if you have a question to me as the attorney, that there's some things that are attorney-client privilege with the city that I can't say, you guys can make a motion also if you have further questions to go into executive session.
Well, I'm gonna second. I totally agree.
Well, if,
But if I may, if they're gonna deny, don't they have to state as the reason of what? If not, they'd be in violation of the state law. And I think state law states that if we comply with the Texas local government code, as well as the city of Socorro, it states the plat shall be approved if we comply with all those requirements. So I know there's legality ramifications for denial, that at one point, as the city attorney does not indicate what those legal ramifications, there can be, something that my client would have to come after legally with his governing body.
I think the issue needs to be forced. I've been here my entire life, and the city of Socorro gets pushed around by big developers all the time. And I understand what Mr. Scott is saying. He's doing his due diligence for his client. I understand that. But there's a new mayor, there's a new set of people sitting on the city council. I think they need to stand up, and let's see what they're gonna be at. Sue me. If nobody pushes back on the issue, we're steamrolled on this.
if I could ask Mr. Estrada to retract his motion, and I think we should go into executive session before we continue. But we can't go into executive session unless you remove your motion.
Do I have a second?
Well, Mr. Estrada would have to remove or retract his motion. Once we go into the executive session, if you want to make your motion again, you can.
Okay. I'll retract my motion.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
I second.
I have a motion made by Enrique Cisneros to go into executive session, second by Andrew Arroyos. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
And, do I have a second?
I second.
I apologize. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. We're going into executive.
back. So,
6:33.
okay, so we came back at 6:33 PM. And, we'll continue with, making a motion on this.
Take a
If anybody
motion.
has anything else to say, we can move forward with the motion.
I'm good.
Good?
Like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Enrique Cisneros to approve, second by Andrew Arroyos. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain?
Abstain.
I abstain.
Motion carried. Moving on to item number 7, consider and take action on the approval of a replat for Valle Bonito Estates subdivision being Lot 2, Block 8, El Gran Valle subdivision located at 11611 Valle Bonito Road, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Give me one moment, please.
Is it because there's a
Right click.
dialogue box? You might want to close that dialogue box.
My apologies. Item number 7 on the agenda is the Valle Bonito Estates subdivision replat.
Still a box on top.
We can't see the screen.
If you give me one moment, please.
There you go.
Thank you.
Apologies once again. For the Valle Bonito Estates subdivision, the property owner is Mr. Jose A. Munoz. The representative is Mr. Sal Masood from Del Rio Engineering. The lot size is 12.8 square feet. The current zoning for the property is R1, which is single-family residential, and the current land use is vacant. Request is for approval of a replat for Valle Bonito Estates subdivision, and staff recommends approval of the replat for Valle Bonito Estates subdivision with the condition that the engineering review comments are met. And on the following slide, you'll see the property is situated right along Valle Bonito Road, close vicinity to Valle Romero Drive. The next slide, you see the zoning for the property outlined in a thick red line, the yellow showing the R1 zoning designation for the property, followed by some pictures of the property taken from Valle Bonito Road, and an aerial image. You'll see that the property is currently vacant, and followed by the preliminary plat showing how the lot would be divided to 2 lots and complying with the 10,000 square foot minimum area requirements, followed by the final plat showing both lots with access to Valle Bonito. And once again, the request is for approval of a replat for Valle Bonito Estates subdivision. And at this time, staff can answer any questions. We also have Mr. Al Flores with Del Rio available to answer any questions as well.
How many lots in this subdivision have been split like this already? I don't remember seeing any of them.
To be honest, I cannot recall.
Okay, so I'd like to know the number of lots within the total subdivision. How many lots? How many have been rezoned? I know this isn't a rezoning. And then how many lots have been split like this? So my first question is, what's the minimum lot width on the proposed 2 lots? What's the lot width right now existing with 1 parcel as it is, and then what's the proposed lot width on each new parcel? Because they look long and narrow. And total square footage on the parcel is 20,000, so if you divide that by 2, it's 10,000, so it stays within the R1, but they're really narrow and really deep, so I'd like to know, and it's right here, but I just can't read it. The dimension on it is too small.
Can you zoom in?
Yes, so it's about 47 feet. It's from
Is
the,
that for sure, or is that?
that's based on the plat, on the information on the plat. So it's the property line abutting Valle Bonito Road is 94.40 feet. So once divided, each property will have under 48 feet of frontage to Valle Bonito.
Okay, I lost you. Once divided, it would have how much each lot?
About
40,
40-something
40,
feet.
40, about 47, 40,
Okay, so,
46.
47 point something.
okay, so typically, lot widths typically minimum are 50 feet, right?
Some
Minimum.
of
Another
them
can go down to 40,
Some
someone
of
to
them are
35.
like 40, 45, 50, 60, it all depends on the subdivision.
And so, is there anything, I guess, in the ordinance that says that there needs to be a minimum lot width for
Yes.
this zoning?
Well, for zoning, I believe the minimum frontage required is 40, but there is also the possibility to request a variance to allow something under. But,
So is there a difference in lot width with different zoning, like R1 and R3 and R4? Is there a difference in the minimum lot width that's required?
that's not, I don't believe that's clearly articulated in the ordinance, but it does say frontage should be at a minimum 40 feet.
Yeah, because of like the cul-de-sac lots and stuff like that, they kind of narrow down, so I think you're right, it's a minimum 40, if I'm not mistaken.
Mr. Botella, do we know how many empty lots are in that subdivision?
It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, we typically focus on, compared to like a rezoning, we focus on what's being asked for this development. So we don't typically go further into, you know, for instance, the subdivision to look at all those specifics, because as long as they comply with our Chapter 38 requirements for what we require on the plats, then at that point, you know, we don't look at any other information.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I can't even place Valle Bonito. Where's that at?
So you go south on Socorro, where the Circle K is, Hueleca, and past the canal. It's a big subdivision. The lots are pretty big, but there's a ton of, so it's in District 4. There's a ton of undeveloped land. It's right on the border fence. It's just east of District 2 for Isla del Sur Pueblo. So even if they split it in half, so long as it's 10,000 square feet, it'll still meet the, what is it called? The residential one, R1 amount. It is, you know, I live in Jardín de Flores, so it'd be like putting 2 Jardín de Flores houses there. So I can definitely understand, hey, it doesn't meet the makeup of the original development, but that has existed forever. It's on the border. There's a lot of undeveloped land. It's still more than 10,000 square feet. Yeah, so it's, there's no lighting out there. We need a ton of lighting out there. There's no sidewalks. We need a ton of sidewalks out there. And if it's a new development, they would have to put in the sidewalks, at least on their portion, right? Yeah. I'm leaning towards approval.
My biggest issue is, I guess, the overall characteristic of the subdivision. And I'd like to know if this is the first one that comes up. If there was others, it's because this is a situation where, I mean, it's a good question, how many vacant lots are still out there? Because this is, on one side, awesome. I mean, you buy and split, awesome. On the other end, you've got people that have been there for a long time now, you know what I mean, now the
Yeah.
neighbors, and so that's where I'm coming from.
The hard part for me on this one is, even split, you've got more than 10,000 square feet, which is, any new development is usually 6,000, right? So it's, I mean, if I won, I don't know if I can say so, but if I won the lottery today, you know, I'd buy all the lots and put, you know, $500,000 homes on it. But I haven't, and, you know, if it was a small lottery win, then I'd split the lots and build 6,000 square foot house on it.
Can you put this one up? Can you put it- See, and it's just this, I don't know how many lots are in that subdivision. I mean, is it 200 lots? Is it 100? Is it, I mean, look at all the vacant lots. I see, just off of that, I see 1, 2, the one next door. I mean, who owns the one next door, you know? That's where I'm coming from. And I don't know if this, so I guess these questions, they pop into my, right, but I'm like, and I know it's a lot of work to request, okay, how many lots in this subdivision? So was that on your end, oh my God, now I gotta drive by, I gotta see how many lots are vacant, but, you know, whatever, it's a lot of work, I understand that. And then they come here and it takes about 5 seconds to make a decision, so it's like, all that work for a vote in less than a minute, you know? But it's information that I think is worth looking at and seeing, you know, what's, and it no different than the previous one. It's like, what direction is this gonna go in?
I can tell you in my experience, we've walked this development. I can tell you it's in need of major development. It's needed in lighting infrastructure. It's in need of sidewalks. I can, off the top of my head, I can't remember anything coming to planning and zoning in the 5 years that the three of us have been here. So it's that difficult negotiation between making the most of these amazing big lots that we can make more of, but unless somebody comes in and develops them, it's just, we in my opinion, we have to take the development where it comes. And and here's the biggest thing, the deciding factor for me is it's still over 10,000 square feet on both of the lots. So that's the deciding factor for me.
I'll tell you I guess on the side of the building, like you're saying, the developer needs to come in. If they go too small, there's not enough profit in it. If you go too big, you can't get it to appraise because of all the other stuff that's surrounding it. So these lots just sit there, right?
Which would be great for property taxes. My house is worth $500,000, but you know the neighborhood brings it down, so my property taxes are less. So it's the end user, right? It's a one-time end user. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted. My apologies. But yeah, that's the negotiation. That's la bolita. It's encontrando la bolita. Yeah.
Any other questions?
One of us has to win the lottery. That's all I have.
No? Estrada, no more questions? No? Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Enrique Cisneros to approve, second by Andrew Arroyos. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 8, Planning and Zoning Commissioners Report.
I've got something to report. So I'm on the Business Mentors Group for the city of Socorro with the Economic Development Department under Jose Quiñones. Sorry, sorry, Jose Quiñones. So I was thinking, and this is a question, when businesses come and register with the city of Socorro to get their business license, what would be the process of giving them an invite or giving them an information packet about letting them know of what they have access to because the city of Socorro is putting on great events, network events, so that we can just put a flyer along with their packet here. You've registered, here's a little packet for you, and we can, it would be just making them aware of that they have access to those resources and being on that email address. Would that, one is, would we have the ability to make a motion to ask for that? Would we ask staff to,
We can look into it. I don't think it's an action for the Planning and Zoning Commission,
okay,
but we can definitely take that suggestion to Jose and to Alejandra, who's in charge of the department, and to the city manager, but that sounds like a great idea.
okay. Thank you.
I have a quick question, and this is just, on these lot splits that are coming in, been coming in for a while or whatnot, on these bigger lots, and this is just out of curiosity, when they come in, is it like more elderly people that don't want the lots anymore because they can't maintain them, or is it
It's a
just,
mix of,
just a mix?
it's a very, yeah, it's a big mix. It's, I have too much land, I can't maintain all of it, but it's also people who are interested in real estate, and they see an opportunity, and they're just trying to, you know, maximize
I was just curious.
profitability, I don't know what I'm not in real estate, but the market, and what's available, or what people are interested in. What other examples? So, yeah,
Okay.
families, we have a lot, it belongs to both of us, but we have different ideas about what to do with it, so you take your part, I'll take mine.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
I have a comment. There was, I spoke with somebody today, and he was born and raised in Socorro, a young family, he was about 25 years old. Two little babies, a 4-month-old and like a 2-year-old, okay? And they both graduated Socorro High School, got married about 4 years ago or whatever, and then they moved up to Saragossa and Mountwood, up in that area somewhere. So they signed a 1-year lease, and then their lease expires this in February. And so they came out and reached out because they wanted to lease in Socorro. They wanted a rental property in Socorro. And so we started that conversation, right? But basically, the end of it is that they wanted to come back to Socorro. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because we love Socorro. We were both from here. We went to grade school here. We graduated here. We love it here. What's available for rental properties in Socorro? And I said, well, why not stay? And they're like, we can't. We just don't like it. We like the openness, the pecan orchards, the cotton fields, you know, the whole 9 yards. So anyway, they're ending up moving back into Socorro. I usually hear, I love Socorro, but from older generations. This is a younger generation, right? Mid-20s, early 24 and 25, I think is what it was. Wanting to get away from all the city life, I guess, the traffic, the whole thing. And so at that point, I just be quiet, right? Because I need to sign, I want to sign a lease, right? But I'm thinking in the back of my mind, man, you're right in the path because you're coming back. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, so I thought I'd share that.
Right, I think what's important to us that have lived here for a long time, I'd be a prime example. I left, I was gone for 11 years, and I came back to Socorro. My husband would not move into the city. And I think that with today's, some of the agenda items that we have, is that we want to focus on the low robust of the community that we have. You know, yes, we have infrastructure issues. Yes, we have a lot of traffic that we still try to maneuver around, but it is a very different atmosphere. And I think that some of the items that have come up, of course, are because we still want that kind of relaxation in some areas in Socorro. Not so much that we want to debate, don't bring it here. We want to bring it to other corridors within our city and keep them in those corridors and not within our city itself. We want residential, we want parks, we want a shopping center, something that we don't have to take off and go up there because that's where we're going right now, you know. And so I think it's important that we all take that in and we understand that the home life in Socorro, it is very different there's a lot of, cons, you know, there's a lot of pros, you know, I mean, I live in a nice neighborhood, but there are houses there that are trashy, you know, and so it does bring the value of the property down, just like you said. So I think it's important that we keep that in mind, but we also, push back on things that we think are also important to the community, not just us as commissioners, but to the residents of Socorro. And I think that was important today. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. If that's all, I will move on to item number 9, Planning and Zoning Department Report. Ms. Camilo?
I just have a reminder to check your emails. I sent out a link to the MPO's 2052 MTP survey. If anybody would like to contribute your thoughts, it'd be great to have Socorro voices reflected in this new MTP. And really just the sidewalks, finishing up Fray Alguin and going back over and cleaning up a couple of areas where we have received some complaints. And made a note to myself to follow up with TxDOT, as I haven't heard back about the streetlights at Bowman and North Loop.
Sorry, I forgot to add to that. So I went to the MPO presentation at Irving? or what?
Burgess?
Burgess. And it was, I got there late because I had the Police Foundation meeting. But the point is I met with a couple of people there, and it was very similar to what we had here, where, hey, put a post-it here, identify what's important. And I can tell you that the couple of people I spoke to from MPO, I was like, hey, we're ready for North Loop. Like, hey, I know it's in the preliminary process, but you guys are the money people, right? You're the important people. They weren't really familiar with it. I guess a couple of people I spoke to. So I think that
The North Loop feasibility study?
yeah, that I told them, hey, I know it's at the beginning stages, but I know that you guys are going to be the important part once it's done. Okay. And so anyways, I put it down on like the process that you go through. So I would highly encourage you guys to do that questionnaire to let them know what is important to Socorro, the North Loop expansion, eventually the 375 expansion along the fence. I know that the Estrella del Sur Pueblo, they have a huge development, and the comment I always get is it's so hard to go from District 2 all the way to 375 or to Alameda. So again, that 375, when I went there, I was like, hey, the expansion for 375 along the border fence, the North Loop expansion, and then eventually but I don't know if it's a state highway, the expansion of Nuevo Old Waco Tanks.
No,
But-
no,
yeah.
that's a local government project.
But again, I highly recommend that you guys go on there and do that, and because MPO is where the funds are. So, and thank you for sending us the invite.
You're welcome. Thank you for attending. The other item, I want to make sure, if you haven't put it on your calendar, please do, the community meeting for the Uniform Development Code, Wednesday, the January 29th at 5 p.m. here in council chambers.
Can you
Thank
repeat that, please?
5 p.m. next week, Wednesday, January 29th, the community meeting for the Uniform Development Code. We'll have hands-on activities led by Able City, which will cover all of the development code here. And we can cover, they will be covering, and staff will be assisting, covering all of the different aspects to the development code, zoning, subdivisions, everything in and outside of development. We can discuss on Wednesday with the public and with the team from Able City.
Next Wednesday at 5.
Here at council chambers.
Did you get any, I'm sorry, changing subject, did you get any feedback with Lower Valley Water District on those trash cans, on the placement of the trash cans?
No, I have not yet, but I will make a note to myself to report something back on next meeting.
Thank you.
They do have a community trash pickup for tires.
Thank you. I did take a snapshot of that flyer. We have it right outside right at our office window. I took a picture February 1st. And the neighborhood is,
It's over there by Dean Digger and all that, because I shared that post on social media.
perfect.
And
Yeah,
it's
it is
just-
it is in collaboration with the Lower Valley Water District, Valle Bajo, Walcott, Valle Frondoso, Valle Romero, Valle Palomar, Riverside, Valle Dorado, Valle Verde, Dinginger, Campeche, Olivia Grande,
It's a large
Campechino.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of streets that will be covered, and if you have any questions, you can call Solid Waste at 791-4480, extension 1043, or you can call Public Works, 915-858-1114.
Yeah. In fact, I think the one you can take up to 6 tires is,
Regular tires.
yeah,
Regular tires, no commercial tires.
6 tires is there for.
Question, the intersection on Bowman Road and North Loop, there's a light that's gonna go in there.
Scheduled to, but as of our last meeting, we've already missed that deadline, or the projected start date.
Yeah,
They had
it
told
was-
us they were gonna start moving dirt in December, and there isn't any activity yet.
So.
It's coming.
Within this year that start and maybe complete by the end of this year?
I don't know, I have a note to reach out to TechStop again for,
Right, in fact, it was this engineer that said
that they are working with TechStop
That
on,
counted it
on,
with 5 other ones,
Yeah.
right, within the city. Right.
And
it
then-
was- that was him.
The other question that I was asked was the extension of Bauman from I-10 down to Bauman and that intersection, is that gonna go through? Is that
Arterial one.
no, that's a different project. Arterial one is still in the works. So the engineer and staff are still working through the NEPA process and gathering data and determining the alternative. So as of right now, yes, but no location has been determined.
The location?
The
so-
location.
So it
of the
may
project.
come down through Bowman, it may not.
May come down through Bowman, may not. It might come down through Anderson. It might not. We're still working through the data and hope to have something soon.
But is that local or is that with the
That's a local
TechStop?
government project.
Okay.
So the city of Socorro is leading the effort to determine the best route for that arterial in partnership with TechStop and the MPO, as the funding would come from the MPO, from TechStop through the MPO.
So another reason to fill out that question.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Ms. Camito. Moving on to the last item, number 10, consider and take action on the adjournment of this meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
I have a motion made by Andrew Arroyos to adjourn, second by Yolanda Rodriguez. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned at 7:01. Thank you all for coming.